The purpose of this video is to summarize what we've done in our campaign up until this point in time. So without wasting any more time, we'll just start. Last time on D&D, the background. There are two continents at war, Malum being the south continent and Expunga being the top continent. They have been at war for some time, and at one point Malum launched a heavy assault on Expunga, which forced many of the citizens there to, as a last-ditch effort, sail out into the ocean, hopefully to find some sort of life out in the seas. After many, many months of travel, they land on a continent that was previously unknown to anyone. Once on this continent, they name it Principium. After about 4 generations of living on Principium, the people have established multiple cities, being Urbs, the capital, Navis, the port city, and Venari, the hunting city. Recently, there's been a new city that has popped up called Broken Wheel. It's known as the Town of New Beginnings, and where our adventures begin. Broken Wheel. As I stated before, this town is known as the Town of New Beginnings. It pulls in people of all different races to get away from the human-dominant capital of Urbs. The guild leader / town leader, Garnus, is the main figurehead of the town. He is who runs the guild as well as keeps everyone in town doing what they're supposed to be doing. Along with him is Primulus, the town head guard, also helps him with running the town. Broken Wheel as a whole started fairly small, only a few buildings, but over time has grown since the party has invested their time into building up this town. Notable buildings being the guild hall, the guild house, the research center, the market area, housing area, training pit, fighting ring, the dragon pen, the casino, and the stalls, as well as some stalls that come and go as they travel between cities, run by Billy the Mage and Zealous. The South Ruins. On their first adventure out of town, our party visits some ruins to the south of Broken Wheel. While there, they find strange magical uses, such as mechanically locking doors that could easily be done with springs, and other just mundane things that could be done easily, but they're done magically. While there, they find some research that is in a draconic-esque type of writing, but not truly draconic. Since the party has discovered this ruin, it has been transformed into a farm for Broken Wheel, and later down the road is where the party first encountered other members of the Venari Guild, which did not go over super well and ended up with most of the Venari Guild members killed and one of them captured and then quickly released. Tower to the east. After getting an anonymous tip, the party investigates the tower to the east of Broken Wheel. Along the way, they pick up more Death Cobbler, a young goblin. Once there, they find that the tower is trapped, and they also fight some Black Pudding. After fighting, they pick up a lot of research in the same draconic-esque writing. They also find a lead to something else further to the southeast. The tournament. After some rough talks with the Venari Guild, because of the captured member and killed other members, they decide to put on a fighting tournament and invite the Venari Guild leader as sort of fixing the rough patches between the two guilds. The tournament seems to go well, and the Venari Guild leader leaves to go back home once all the festivities have ended. The Mountain World Quest. After a string of successful quests, the party decides to go on their first world quest, which the difference between a normal quest and a world quest is that the world quests are commissioned by the capital and are normally very difficult. After searching the mountains to the north, The party finds a large golem that is much more elementally enhanced than a normal golem would be, and they took care of it, which opened up mining in both Broken Wheel and Herbs in the center mountain. The capital visit. Upon completing the world quest, the party makes a trip to the capital to turn it in and get their reward. Upon entering, they take a look around the city and really get a feel for what the difference between Herbs and Broken Wheel is. Herbs being separated into what looks to be 3 sections of the city. There's the poor, the mid-range, and the rich. The castle being where the party needs to turn in their quest. They make their way through town, through the different sections, seeing all different types of life. Enter the castle where they meet the council members. The Sovereign Arnold, the Dark Knight, leader of the Capital Guild and Guard, High Priest Yua, Advisor Flaxian, right-hand man to Arnhold, and Weapon Master Tormund, who owns the blacksmith in town. Nothing much more is done in the capital, but the separation of classes standing is, again, very apparent. The bunker. The party decides to explore a landmark previously found while at the tower to the east. After a few days' travel, they find a large metal slab on the ground with a hatch. Going in awoke multiple skeletons that were defeated fairly quickly, but then a bone golem appears, and after some harsh fighting, it is also defeated. Closer inspection reveals these skeletons to be dragon-like, but human-sized. Tools and weapons here have a strong magical nature, and they also find a large mural depicting dragon-like people working with dragons that slowly morphs into a shadowed hand reaching out, forming a cage over these dragon-like people. Pass through Venari. On their way to a quest in Navis, the party does pass through Venari. Not much time is spent there, but some things are found out. The people of Venari very much dislike the people of Broken Wheel. Not to the point of violence, but they are not accommodating whatsoever. The Mithril Guard here take their jobs very seriously, not talking with the travelers. Navis. This is the port town of Principium. The guild here is a trading guild rather than an adventurer's guild. They handle mail and cargo, and their main export is their fish and aquatic goods. The party having a quest here to fight off a port monster learn that it is a Leviathan, which leads to their first TPK, which is a hard hit to Broken Wheel. The Leviathan later was defeated by an adventurer in Venari. Ring of Mountains. Getting some new adventures in Broken Wheel, after a few weeks, they decide they want to prove themselves by taking on a world quest. This world quest being recon on some mountains to the east. Upon arrival, they find out the mountain is surrounded by an invisible barrier that makes it look normal from the outside, but entering shows that the mountain is fiery and extremely hot. Inside is a legion of imps with a fiery general. The party, deciding that they cannot take on this fight, decides to flee, which leads to an extremely close escape. As they are leaving, they hear a different, louder voice yelling at the general, asking him why they let them escape. Desert Ruin. A researcher named Lur contracted the party to guide him to some ruins, similar to the South Ruins in the desert. They find it surrounded by a force field that opens around an orb the party gets from destroying some magical constructs that came out to fight them. Inside, they find many magical items and research written in the same draconic-esque language. They find a clockwork dragon that is left alone for the time being, but is later brought back to Broken Wheel and repaired to be used as a writable defense mechanism. They also discover a communication orb that connects to a pit fiend. They dispel it for now, but later Lur and Garnus use it to talk to the pit fiend Thorban, later discovered that he lives up north. Dungeon. The party explores a recently discovered dungeon. They fight through 4 bosses to open a door to what appears to be a resting place for 2 dragon people and holds a lot of research, gold, and magical items. They also find a book that will answer 5 questions, but they choose to give it to Lur for further research. The Feywild. After being homesick, a party member wants to visit their home in the Feywild. They visit the satyr village, where they learn of a satyr scientist that can apparently merge magical items of the same type, as well as learn that there is a dragon-like race that sounds very comparable to what they've been uncovering, living in the north in the Feywild. Road East. After some intense missions, the party decides to take a more relaxed, extended mission. The road east took about 2 months to complete, but now there is a road connecting Broken Wheel to the tower, making it a much easier trek. After returning, some things in Broken Wheel have changed, the most apparent being the Clockwork Dragon now being fully operational. Feywild Dragons. After their extended quest, the party is ready to follow up on the dragon people in the Feywild. One of the party members agrees to take Zealous, the magic salesman, to the Feywild while they're going. Along the way, they find out that travel in the Feywild takes twice as long to get anywhere, and 1 day in the Feywild is 2 days in the material plane. Arriving at the mountain to the north in the Feywild, the dragonfolk guards, who look human-sized bipedal, orangish-yellow dragons. After some tense conversations through translating, they are let in to talk to the leader, an ancient sun dragon named Solacin. The party learns that the dragons had fled to the Feywild after creating a shadow creature too powerful for them to handle. The younger dragonfolk fled to the Feywild, the older and feeble stayed in the bunker in the material plane, and the able stayed to either fight or seal the shadow creature inside what the party thinks is the circle rocks they visited before. After talks, they were given a disc that will allow communication once per day, and then went back to the material plane to report to Garnus what has happened. And that is where we left off on our last session.